End of day. Day 80. Oh, let's do a couple interviews. Dun, dun, dun. Who are you?
I'm Eric.
And?
Aaron, aka Aaron.
Where are you from? What do you do? Why are you running?
I've grown up here in Anderson, Indiana. I currently live in the city of Ohio, and this is my first day running.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Single and ready to mingle.
Always. I'm Justin Daniels. I'm from Richmond, Indiana. Today's my second day running, and I will be in Washington running again. So all the single ladies, be in Washington.
John, is that you? Wait, who is this mystery John guy? Tell us what you did 10 years ago, John.
I ran the original Run for the Fallen from Fort Irwin, California to Arlington National Cemetery. And here we are 10 years later, and we're on day 80, and we're making our way, and we're going to make it to Arlington National Cemetery again.
Where are you from, John?
I'm from Clinton, New York, Central New York.
Where do you live now?
I live in Eugene, Oregon, Tracktown, USA.
So yesterday you flew from Portland to Portland, right?
Portland, Oregon to Portland, Indiana, and we ran from Portland, Indiana to Anderson,
Now we're here.
Indiana. 56 miles, and we honored roughly 100 service members, if I'm not mistaken. We had more than 20 runners.
You're one of them. For how many days?
That I'll be here.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be here until through Thursday, June 28th.
We're happy to have you.
Thanks very much.
Everyone wanted to know you. They've been hearing your name for 80 days. This John guy. Here he is, everybody. Yellow Run for the Fallen shirt. Never seen it before. Do we have that color?
And tomorrow I'll make sure I bust out the original Run for the Fallen.
Awesome, awesome. Oh, here we go. We got another runner who wants to interview with our live camera.
All right.
Who are you?
I'm Derek Arnold.
Tell me more.
This is day 2 of 3 for me. I'll be running tomorrow down to Indianapolis.
Okay.
That's where I live. Got to run through my hometown yesterday.
And you're with who today?
I've got my wife, Mandy. She joined us today. That's my brother, Jason, who's been running 2 days.
Awesome.
And my nephew, Sam, down there has been doing 2 days. as well.
Awesome. Family affair. Colton's next. I know, but we're going to do it again because America loves you.
Well, I'm Colton Compton. I've been running since we were at the state line. I'm going all the way down to the 29th, which is Princeton. Is that correct? Something like that.
I don't know.
Kind of close to Evansville, about 10-15 miles away. Yeah.
And we have Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt Bowman from Lafayette, Indiana. My second day riding my bike, and I will end tomorrow in Indianapolis.
I see a marine emblem on your hat, huh?
Simplified.
Who do we have here?
Say your name. Jace what? How many days have you ran? You're going to run one more.
You did awesome today.
How many? You ran 10 miles today.
That's awesome. Thanks for running with us.
Tell them how old you are.
You ran your age today? That's crazy. Are you going to do it again tomorrow? Maybe.
She's going to run her age tomorrow, too.
He's like, that's old. I saw that face.
That means you only get like, what, 2 mile race?
All right, Henry, catcher, please.
Where's Laura?
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that's part of this program. As a 20-year Air Force veteran, it's an honor to honor you tonight. Our coach, Coach 26, Ambens, our commander, Dave Hatzel, want to walk into our post tonight. We'd like to thank you for what you've done and what you're about to do. At this time, I'll turn it over. George, you're going to do that?
I'll take it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. What an amazing welcome it was to the post. Thank you so much. All those who held the flag up and welcomed us in. It was truly a sight after how many? 55 55 markers today? 55 markers today. Are you guys gonna sit down? Am I gonna feel like we wanted to make you a little, maybe a little uncomfortable?
There's a whole table in front.
Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Can't tell you enough what it means to be on a mission and to end up in a place where people understand. I feel like I have to talk over to the people who understand, so forgive me. Please silence your cell phones. Mine's usually the one that rings and has been the culprit several times. But honestly, if you come into a town and to be welcomed by those who understand the mission, those who want to be a part of it, those that understand the sacrifice, it's truly heartwarming to us, especially after a long, long day of running, of which I wasn't, but these guys were. So thank you for that welcome, Commander, for opening your house here for us. One of the things that we really look forward to is to be able to come to a place where we can feel welcome and embraced and comfortable. So the opportunity here for our team and those that have joined us today is truly amazing. This is the 10th anniversary of Honor and Remember. We established our organization in 2008 on Memorial Day, and the organization was established to bring public remembrance to those who don't understand what it is the military does and the sacrifices that have been given by the families, our Gold Star families. And the organization began with the idea of establishing a national flag of remembrance, the Honor and Remember flag. And I'm hoping that everybody knows what that flag is. If you don't know what the Honor and Remember flag is, raise your hand, and I'll take you out back. So that was our goal, was to bring public remembrance to this nation, because really only a small percentage of our population kind of gets what the military does. And so the idea of bringing forth some way, some tangible, physical way of bringing appreciation and thanks to these families became very important, and that's why the flag was established. About 2 weeks after Memorial Day, I got to know a man who was on his own mission. And his mission was to bring honor to a fallen friend, fallen roommate from college, who he had lost. First Lieutenant Michael Cleary was his best friend. And he decided he was going to do something. He didn't know what at that point. I guess before that he did, but to that moment he decided he was going to run across America. And so this gentleman created the actual first Run for the Fallen 10 years ago. And he and I became friends over these last 10 years. Actually, within weeks of that run, we became friends. And so he's actually with us here tonight. He ran and organized the very first Run for the Fallen 10 years ago. And I'd like to introduce John Bologna to you. John has been our inspiration for the last 10 years. We've taken it and built on it and grew it until 2 years ago. He and I spoke, and I said, we have to do this again. We have to have a 10th anniversary, and we have to do this bigger and better than ever was imagined. And so what we did was we compiled a list of those that gave their lives for our country. By working with the Department of Defense and several other organizations, we actually compiled the largest database of fallen service members ever put together for the War on Terror. And when I say it's the largest, it's larger than even the Department of Defense, because the Department of Defense is sometimes selective on the casualties that they actually announce. And what we have done is by growing this database and putting it out there in the public for the last 2 years, we have allowed families to look for their loved ones on our database, and if they weren't there, they could add them. So we have been adding families constantly, because this run not only accounts for battle casualties, but it accounts for every single serviceman or woman who died while serving, regardless of how they served and died, or as a result of serving, even from the hidden wounds of post-traumatic stress. So we have even taken those that have died maybe by their own hand after they left the service. If it was service connected, we have added them to this run. So we have compiled this large, very large database of fallen service members. And then we mapped it into a spreadsheet. And then consecutively, using the date of death as a measurement, we started with October 12th, 2000. Every mile was a new date of death. So October 12th, 2000 was our first mile. The next date of death was our next mile. And the next date after that was our next mile. It might have been the next day, or it might have been a month later. It didn't matter. As long as a service member died on a day, that was a mile. So I'm painting you a picture across America of what we've decided to do. We took those 20,000 and they equated to about 6,000 dates of death. And that is where we get our 6,000 miles from. We're running, honestly, for 6,000 dates of death. We started with the year 2000. We're now running in Indiana for the year 2011. This is how we've progressed. And as we go across the country to Arlington Cemetery, we hope to, on August 5th, when we arrive in Arlington, call out the very last name of the last person who died to that very moment. So this is why we say this is the most comprehensive fallen veteran tribute ever organized, ever compiled, and ever executed. And it is our hope that while we do this, that we can send a message to America, to those that don't get it, to say, you know, these men and women and their families gave up everything so that your family didn't have to. And what's the very least that we can do as a nation is say thank you, is appreciate. And we thought the biggest way of showing that appreciation was to call their names out loud, was to say their names boldly and reverently out loud for everyone to hear, because we're broadcasting this live as well. So we have a live feed. I don't think anybody has ever done anything like this, because it took us a long time to figure it out. And we actually are broadcasting to anyone in the world who has the internet the names of every one of these loved ones. And so this is where we are. We've now traveled, can I say 13 states now? We're still in 12. The statistics go beyond me sometimes, but out of 19 states, we're now in our 12th state. Today we ran 55 markers for 218 heroes today. 218 lost their lives in 55 dates of death. Remember, every mile is a date of death. So it's very easy to figure out and do the math on how many that is. That is a lot of men and women in a month and a half, a little less than 2 months. And to date, we have run 3,650 miles in the last 80 days. This was our 80th day. And in those 80 days, we have physically called out the names of 15,194 service members. 15,194 in the last 80 days. And those men and women deserve to be recognized, don't they? Those men and women deserve to have a place in our hearts. It's not just about the families. The families are remembering their loved one every single day. They get it. Do we have our flag here?
Which flag?
Our Gold Star family flag?
No, it's in the van.
It's not in here? And we're
It's in the-
looking at a
it's in
very
the RAV.
specific flag that we carry with us. It's not in here? Okay, that's fine. We'll get it in here in a little while, but what we have is a flag that we carry that Gold Star families sign who have met us along the way. And that flag is almost black with the names of families who thought it was important enough to travel to where we were, regardless of where they came from. Travel to where we were so that they could hear us call their loved one's name out loud for 30 seconds. I'm talking thousands of miles. I know the Atkins family came from Ohio via Florida, right? They were out today for their marker. But we've had families come out to California, from Virginia, to Arizona,
Pennsylvania.
from Pennsylvania, many from Indiana, many of the Gold Star families from Indiana. I think Indiana holds the record, actually, of the most families who have attended somewhere else along the way. It's been the most phenomenal thing because every time we meet a family and we say, where are you from? From Indiana. And I'd have to go, well, certainly you know Don Finnegan. So it's been a blessing. Winona, did you go do that for me? Thank you. Let you hold that for me. Winona's going to hold this up for me. So these are the signatures, and there's not any writing on here, but they're heroes' names. This is the number of families that have attended their markers over the last 80 days. And so it's not about the families understanding because they get it. They get it. It's about all of us appreciating and having a way to say thank you. And so my message to you tonight is to please share this vision. We still have 41 days left to get to Arlington Cemetery. 41 days. There is still many more people to touch, not just on the internet, but physically, as we travel on our way through another 7 states. And so I ask that you all share. You all have friends around the country. Doesn't matter if you're in our path or not in our path. But share what we're doing. Let others know. Let others know to participate in some small way so that we can reach more family. I don't know what we're going to do. If we can, between now and then, if we have enough room to squeeze more families in there. But on August the 5th at 2 o'clock, we're going to have a ceremony in Section 60 in Arlington National Cemetery. Everyone here is invited. One of the things we do in the evening, thank you, Mona. One of the things that we do in the evening as a team, first I'd like my core team to raise their hands so everybody can identify with those who are traveling the whole time across America. I've got a core team here. Who are not here with us that had to take some time off. And then all of those that ran today were part of it. Of course, John, I recognize you. Thanks for coming out. He actually lives in Oregon now and has a beautiful family. And he's also a intellectual doctor now. He just got his doctorate. So proud of you. Proud of you, John. All those that ran with us today and experienced that, and actually some of them have been out for a couple of days, please raise your hands so that we can acknowledge you guys. One of the things that we do every night, I'll tell you, ever since we hit kind of like the Midwest, there's been a gathering that have understood and have welcomed us. But when we were in California and parts of Arizona, we'd get to the end of the day and there wasn't anybody around. I mean, there was nobody. And we'd go, well, what are we going to do, guys? Well, we'll go over here to Cracker Barrel and have a meal and then go back to the RV park. I mean, literally, we were alone often. One night, we spent the night in an abandoned gas station. We just pulled into it, because there wasn't anything for miles. We just pulled into this abandoned gas station, and we just all slept in the RVs. But the point I'm making is what we do every night, regardless of whether we're alone or whether we're embraced by a group that understands, is we take the names of all those that we ran for that day, and we reread them. We reread them because they need to be heard twice. They didn't always get heard properly the first time. I say properly, but I mean because of the atmosphere and the elements and the car noise and the trucks going by and the motorcycles and the police and sometimes it's hard to hear. A microphone is 10 feet away from where we stand. And so we can hear them there where we are, but those that are watching us on the live feed and the family, many families today watching, didn't get to hear exactly clearly everything that we said. So we like to read those names again in a quiet environment. But the second important reason is that you all here get to stand for the families who aren't here. So you get to hear those names with us and be a part of that family. And that's always a good thing, because the day that we forget these names, the day we forget these men and women who gave us so much, is really the day they're truly forgotten. And one of the things that hit me not too long ago as we were reading names is I was thinking that some of the names that we're reading, it may be the last time anybody reads that name. Because I don't know their family situations. I don't know if they have families still living. We don't know. So the opportunity we have is here and now. We're going to read these names and we're going to hear them all together. And we're going to stand for them. I don't mean literally stand, but you understand what I'm saying. You don't have to stand. And honor them one more time today. So I'm going to ask my team who is reading. Have you identified readers? Any of the runners who'd like to come up and read these names? We have 218 names to read tonight. It's going to take a few minutes. I ask that you respectfully listen. And we'll close after we're done reading.
The dates that we ran for today were April 9th through June 9th of 2011. Sergeant Tyler John Hubbard, United States Army. Private Brandon T. Pickering, United States Army. Sergeant Jose M. Caraballo Petrie, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Borisak T. Usana, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Joel Benigno Ramos, United States Navy. Sergeant Gregory Anthony Melvin Campbell, United States Army. Specialist Brent M. Mayer, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant First Class Mario Mahan Alegria, United States Army. Specialist Donald L. Nichols, United States Army National Guard. Specialist Joseph A. Kennedy, United States Army. Specialist Jeremy Tevin English, United States Army. Sergeant Charles J. Wren, United States Army. Private First Class Joel A. Ramirez, United States Army. Captain Timothy Sean Anderson, United States Army. Sergeant Linda L. Pierre, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Cynthia R. Taylor, United States Army. Captain Charles E. Ridgely Jr., United States Army. Specialist Joseph B. Kemper, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Charles L. Atkins, United States Army. Specialist Paul J. Adam, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Stephen Alex Holland, United States Air Force. Private First Class Zachary W. Wells, United States Army National Guard. Lance Corporal Brian Matthew Duncan, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Jake Wesley Carricker, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class William James Keyes, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class Brenton Lane Jr., United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Rory Stephen Berg, United States Air Force. Private First Class Stephen Kyle Sperlin, United States Army. Specialist Sonny Jade Moses, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Peter Alexander Som, United States Air Force. Second Lieutenant John Timothy Rice, United States Air Force. Specialist Ashley Ann Balding, United States Army. Lieutenant Carmen Maria Harmon, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class Bo Alexander Price, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Micah Aaron Hill, United States Navy. Private First Class Trey Taylor Robb, United States Army. Private First Class John F. Kim, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Ryan Douglas Marks, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Edward Hawthorne, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Scott Eugene Strohmeyer, United States Army. Specialist Joseph Patrick Fauderetti IV, United States Army. First Lieutenant Omar J. Vasquez, United States Army. Private First Class Antonio G. Stiggins, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Jason LaRon Jackson, United States Army. Sergeant John P. Castro, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Charles Adrian Knowlton, United States Air Force. Captain Joshua M. McClemens, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Carson Ephraim Morris, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Benjamin F. Bittner, United States Army.
Chief Warrant Officer 2 Terry L. Varnador, II, United States Army. Staff Sergeant James A. Justice, United States Army National Guard. Corporal Jerome Della Ventura, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Sean T. Callahan, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Dominic J. Sierra Mataro, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Philip Curtis Thomas, United States Navy. Petty Officer Third Class Elliot M. Dunn, United States Navy. Specialist Thomas Samuel Kincaid, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Bradley S. Hughes, United States Army. Airman First Class Danielle Kiera Westmoreland Holly, United States Air Force. Airman First Class Christopher Allen Medeiros, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Joe M. Jackson, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Dave Alonzo Hansen, United States Army. Specialist Pulley Keith Thomas Girardi, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Jimmy Shannon Howard, United States Army. Airman First Class Amber Lee Rocha, United States Air Force. Major Jeffrey Oz Osborne, United States Air Force. Specialist Andrew E. Lara, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Sharon Lachelle Quinn, United States Army. Private First Class Jonathan M. Villanueva, United States Army. Specialist Joseph Lawrence Brown, United States Army. Major Raymond G. Estelle II, United States Air Force. Master Sergeant Tara R. Brown, United States Air Force. Major David L. Bradeur, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Frank D. Bryant Jr., United States Air Force. Captain Nathan J. Nylander, United States Air Force. Captain Charles A. Ransom, United States Air Force. Major Philip D. Ambar, United States Air Force. Sergeant Philip John Bokarski, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Adam D. Jones, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Matthew D. Hermanson, United States Army. Specialist Preston J. Dennis, United States Army. Corporal Alan Richard Bays Jr., United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Ronald D. Freeman, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Robert M. Fries, United States Army. First Sergeant John Anthony Reardon, United States Army. Petty Officer K. Galaribi, United States Navy. Specialist Jacob R. Krapisa, United States Army. Corporal Kevin W. White, United States Army. Airman First Class Christian Brooke Jackson, United States Air Force. Sergeant First Class Richard Daniel Green, United States Army. Captain Joseph Lawrence Cullinan, United States Army. Specialist Riley S. Spalding, United States Army. Master Sergeant Eugene Denson Brady Sr., United States Air Force. Master Sergeant Marcia Jean Triggs, United States Army. Colonel Stephen Craig Ellsworth, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Jeremy Raymond Gamache, United States Air Force. Command Sergeant Major Leonard Levon Offer, United States Air Force. Specialist Andrew Justin Delinco, United States Army. Private First Class Anthony Perez, United States Army. Colonel Kathleen Rowell Agnew, United States Army. Specialist Arturo Maternis, United States Army. Sergeant Ken K. Hermagoni, United States Army. Master Sergeant Daniel Edward Burbridge, United States Army. Sergeant Norman Edward Schmidt Jr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Pizamales S. Missouri, United States Army. Sergeant James W. Solitis, United States Army National Guard. Lieutenant Lance Corporal Alexander Scott Broom, United States Marine Corps. First Lieutenant Demetrius M. Friesen, United States Army. Gunnery Sergeant Stevie Matthew Hawkins, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Victor Paul Zapita, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2, Matthew Austin Patton, United States Navy. Sergeant Bernard Tugning, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin J. Palmer, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Kevin B. Baldoff, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Emerald Aguilar, United States Army. Corporal Raymond Dwayne Presley, United States Army.
Sergeant Robert C. Schulte, United States Army. Lance Corporal Dwayne Robert LeBert Jr., United States Marine Corps. Specialist Brian D. Riley Jr., United States Army. Senior Airman Casey Robert Jackson, United States Air Force. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Richard Michael Thrasher, United States Navy. Specialist Bradley L. Melton, United States Army. Private First Class, Lamoral J. Tucker, United States Army. Staff Sergeant David D. Self, United States Army. Specialist Grant Edward Hawkins, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Omer Osgood, United States Army. Petty Officer 3rd Class, Joshua David Lapp, United States Navy. Specialist Brandon N. Curtin, United States Army. Specialist Matthew Jeffrey Hodges, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Byron Vance Hansvik, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Robert W. Rollins, United States Marine Corps. Corporal Jared A. Moore, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant J.G. Bruce Bond West Jr., United States Navy. Sergeant First Class James Brandon Gray, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Ryan David McCorkill, United States Army. Private First Class Raymond Moore Jr., United States Army. Sergeant First Class Clifford E. Betty, United States Army. Specialist Brian J. Brubeck, United States Army. Senior Airman James Frederick Austin, United States Air Force. Colonel Patrick Louis Cloutier, United States Air Force. Major Charles Thomas Creech, United States Air Force. Command Sergeant Major Paula Sue Norris, United States Army. Private First Class William S. Blevins, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Christopherson B. Lorenzo, United States Army. Private First Class Thomas C. Allers, United States Army. Private First Class Andrew M. Krippner, United States Army. Petty Officer 3rd Class Joshua Adam Yeckering, United States Navy. Captain Hillary King Jr., United States Navy.
Specialist Corey Allen Hoyt, United States Army. Private Jason Alexis Yagazar Yagiri, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Woodrow Wilson Crawford Jr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Harrigan V. Osmond, United States Army. Sergeant Thomas A. Bullhall, United States.
Petty Officer Third Class Dennis Charles Mixon III, United States Navy. Specialist Blair Gamelis Gabriel, United States Army. Sergeant Jason Thomas Chavez, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Kenneth R. White, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2 Bradley Justin Gaudet, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2 J. Gaudet Bradley, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel John Scott Pace, United States Air Force. Corporal Caleb Michael Austin, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant James Allen McElroy, United States Army. Captain Christian Joseph Hallman, United States Army. Specialist Christopher B. Fishbeck, United States Army. Private First Class Michael C. Oliveri, United States Army. Specialist Emilio J. Campo Jr., United States Army. Specialist Michael B. Cook Jr., United States Army. Specialist Robert P. Hartwick, United States Army. Sergeant Joseph M. Garrison, United States Marine Corps. Constructionman Santiago de los Reyes, United States Navy. Corporal William J. Wadowicz, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Alexander Nicholson Moore, United States Army. Private First Class Matthew J. England, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Diamond Ben Bruno, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class William Victor Norder, United States Army. Corporal Matthew T. Richard, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Nicholas Shea O'Brien, United States Marine Corps.
$218 names over 55 dates of death. One of the things that we also do is, the reason this is one of the most comprehensive fallen veteran tributes ever, is that at the end of every reading of our names, if we are in a group, we would like to open it up to those who may be here that know someone that they lost. It could be a loved one, a family member. It could be someone that they served with, someone in the community. It really doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter the generation either. So before I close, I would like to offer an opportunity for anyone in this room to say the name of someone that may be meaningful to them before we end. There was anybody that'd like to do that? Yes, sir.
My grandson, his name is Tyler Joseph Patton. He was a U.S. Air Force. Died 6/27/2001.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Lance Corporal Matthew Smith died 5/10/03. At high school, he played rugby in his backyard.
What branch of service?
Marines.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Lance Corporal David Lee Reesner died 9/20/1967, United States Marine Corps. And Sergeant Robert M. Butler Jr., U.S. Army, 7804.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
That my brother, Barry Thomas King, Vietnam veteran, passed away in 2005, died from Agent Orange results.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My uncle, Oscar Edward Green, passed away September 2nd, 1944. He was a technical sergeant in the United States Army.
Yes, ma'am.
Gunnery Sergeant Justin Robert Montoni, our son, died 3/7/06, U.S. Marine Corps.
EOD.
Thank you. Anyone else? No pressure. Sometimes it's healing to be able to say out loud a name that you may have held on to for a long time. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I know his name's already being called off once, but Sergeant First Class Charles L. Atkins, 4/16/11, Afghanistan. My son, his mom's over here. We have so many people that tells us that it's been 6 years, you should get over it. If you tell you something, you don't never get over it. It's just as real today as it was 4/16/11. I just thank each one of you, all you runners, for what you're doing. You're doing such a gracious thing for all these fallen soldiers. There's no words that I can say to you and you, George, for what you're doing. I don't have the words, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
God bless you all. Honored that you're here. Honored that you're here. If we could just take a moment of silence to honor those names that were read today and those names that were spoken and those names that are still in our hearts. I'm going to bring Don Finnegan up here. Hopefully everyone knows Don Finnegan. He has many accolades. But Don is our state director of the state of Indiana and has gotten around, I'm sure, the entire state. But really honored to have him be a part of our organization, that's for sure. And Indiana has come on top of every state. Every time we've had a state conference, Indiana has been at the top every single year. So really proud of all he does in the state to honor our fallen military and to make a difference in the lives of these families. Thank you, Don.
Well, what am I going to say to that? Did I get a raise at the end of the year? Anyway, thanks, folks. First of all, I know I heard that song. But thanks to the AMVETs, too. I mean, this is, obviously, I belong to the AMVET family and have for a number of years. And I was a veteran. And I didn't serve. Both the sons did. But so I become a son many years ago and do what I can. And I admit that some, whatever it was, 5 years ago, 5.5 ago, officially, more than that, but I got a great team. Robin, Robert, a lot of people make this happen. It's well over me. One person can't do all this. But what I like to do is, Mr. Petro.
Sir.
John is the state ride captain, state of Indiana, Indiana Patriot Guard. We work with a lot. Anytime we do a flag presentation, we love having the Indiana Patriot Guard there. And DJ, where you at? I think you hide you there. DJ Boland from Freedom Riders, and I mentioned this, Freedom Riders actually sponsored this flag. They've helped us out immensely the last couple of years. Actually met DJ, they're presenting a surprise flag, if you recall, and he happened to be on that ride, and now they've done some fundraisers for us. And people will say, how do you guys raise this money for these custom flags that we do? And really, the money is the easy part, because the Hoosiers know how to step up. I mean, we are a conservative state, but we're a very, very patriotic state. as noticed by the turnouts, right, George? To do that. So with that, what I'd like to do, who would like to hold the flag? First of all, if you would, yes, thank you. The flag, the Honor and Remember flag, I know George actually brought it up earlier, but obviously it was 10 years ago as a symbol of remembrance. It's a legacy gift. A thank you gift from the American people presented to the families and Gold Star family communities that would like one. And with that, we've been very fortunate here in the state. This actually will be the 160th flag presented tonight. Well, so what's it stand for? I mean, what's it all about? But the deal is, what we want is to make sure that when you see the flag, that you see that remembrance and you think of what it stands for. The American flag was presented to the family at the memorial service to go in a shadow box, always be kept there. That is the way it should be, and that's great. But this flag is really the legacy. It's the life lived. It's a celebration of that life that we want to honor here tonight. So with that, would the Hale family please join us up here? With that, I'm going to have the certificate read by John, and then you can open the flag, DJ, at any time.
Hale family, this Honor and Remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Staff Sergeant Halens D. Hale. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say, thank you.
These custom flags, over 3,000 have now been presented across the country. It is an appreciation of us as a grateful nation to you and your family to do however you choose. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. No, that's so, we'll get the special box behind you that you can actually fold that in about thirds and put it in there so that you have on there. So, but first of all, that's it for this portion of the ceremony. I'm sure George would go along elegantly with this, but with it, I think we're all getting hungry. I think it's about time to eat. What do you think? You want to present them real quick? First of all, the commander from the post has something for the runners. If you would, if you want to sit down, please sit down.
If we could have all the runners and the corps people, please come up. First of all, like I said earlier, as a 20-year Air Force veteran, we want to thank you for what you're doing. And like they said earlier, Indiana shows up everywhere. Everywhere you go, Indiana's out there supporting you. We would like to support you tonight. We had some cards that we passed out to members of our post, to members of the state AMVETS, and to members of the ladies' state AMVETS. They put a little note on there to you to thank you for what you're doing. We also have a pin from the state of Indiana AMVETS, a yearly pin. Make sure that you always remember that you passed through Indiana and you honor our veterans. Thank you.
What's the plan for you? Commander still in the building? Right, those are just kind of a side note, housekeeping. Anybody who's interested in shirts or hats or in supporting us in some way, over in the corner here, we have all kinds of little trinkets and things that may be a reminder of our visit. And it also helps us to get to the next city and the one beyond. So if there's any interest that you have in any of the product, please, go over and take a look. We also have a poster. It's a very unique poster that has the name of all 20,000 service members on it. Very tiny, but it's really a unique piece. So take a look at it. We have one framed over there. Thank you. And Commander, do you have anybody that can pray before we eat? Chaplain, you guys have a chaplain? Yes? Lord God, we thank you for bringing the folks here tonight, Lord Jesus, to spread the word about what the folks have suffered, the families have suffered, and the lives that have been crossed over the years, Lord Jesus. We now ask you to bless the food we're about to eat, Lord Jesus, and take them safely to the next destination. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Oh, thank you, sir. Hey, thank you. My own. You want to close it?
Hey, Edie, all set. There's George.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for being a part of this. It's truly amazing. 7 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, starting from Anderson, Indiana.